What if we flood the people with so much information that they can no longer find the truth?
Who's writing the narrative? Who's telling the story? The victors always tell the story, right? And on top of the victors, the system generally writes the story outside of from a prophetic narrative. If it's not coming from a prophetic narrative or interpreted through a prophetic narrative, then you're probably getting misinformation, and that is hard to sort through.
Welcome back to Gotta Be Me podcast. We're so happy to be here again with you today. We're your hosts. My name is Sophia Benyon, and this is my cousin, Peyton Benyon.
Welcome back to our channel, everybody. If you are new here, don't forget. Don't forget. Come on, you're not gonna make me go through all this and forget to like, forget to comment, forget to subscribe. Please what should they comment?
We should do one of those ones where we say something at the end of the video to see if they watched the whole thing.
Comment, I say turkey, you say corn.
Do not comment that.
Okay, don't comment that.
What comedian was that from again?
Dave, was it, I think
it's not Dave Chappelle. It's somebody older than Dave Chappelle.
Yeah. Don't comment that. Cut that part out. I lied. Don't comment that. Comment something else. See if you all can get yourselves to comment peace, love, and hair grease in order.
What do you mean?
Like one person comments peace, the next person comments love, and the next person comments hair grease.
And they just keep.
And let's see how many
long
times
the chain
we can
goes?
get it through. Yeah, like let's see how many times we can
go
get
through
it
the peace, love, and hair grease.
So
the thing is, comments pop up all different in different people's phones. You still think we should try it?
True. Try it. Let's see.
That's a fun thing to
try. Yeah, that's fun. Okay, I happened upon something that was a decent idea. Okay, go ahead. Say something else. Help me out.
Anyway, we are back to Hustlin Backwards again with chapter 2. If you haven't seen the ones that come before this, we have our intro, and then we talked about chapter 1. So today we're talking about chapter 2. The title of chapter 2 is Recovery Needed from Our, in parentheses, Miseducation. And the little sub caption underneath says, I couldn't possibly be incorrect. I've been educated, have done my own research, and have all the facts.
So this is why you need to get the audiobook, because all the stuff that's italicized, the author reads in different animated voices, which is really wonderful. Yeah, and then you would kind of get to know it like it's person by person. Yeah,
he could definitely be a voice actor, I feel like.
Yeah.
He has fun with it. So just in case you didn't watch the other two, which I feel like to understand each chapter, you should watch the ones before, but Hustlin' Backwards.
I don't think we have to go in order, but she believes we have to go in order. So.
Why would we not
watch them out of order if you want?
Why would we not have to go in order?
Just because whatever's most interesting, just do it first, so it'll be exciting.
But you have to understand the next chapter, you have to... I don't...
Now we're arguing. Continue.
I was trying to say that Hustlin' Backwards gives a clear understanding on oppression, but it helps us by giving a clear understanding of what happened to the African American, because that's a very refined form of oppression. And if we view oppression through that lens, then we can understand all oppression. Anyway, so chapter 2 talks a lot about information and how we get our information and what we do with it. I feel like the world has gone through different stages with information. If we go back to the Dark Ages, I mean, they were called the Dark Ages because...
the Dark Ages in Europe, right?
Right, the Dark Ages in Europe, which there was different things happening in different places at that time, right? But, you know what? It's kind of unfortunate that our education was so Eurocentric.
It is unfortunate. That's why we're going to go to HBCUs.
In our dreams.
Uh-oh, I will. I'm going to. I'm determined in my heart.
I would love to go. Anyway, I am reading a book called Black AF History, and it's a major re-education. It's so many things that I never know. Plus, he's so funny. You do need to read it.
Yeah.
Anyway, the Dark Ages in Europe were considered the Dark Ages because, there was lacks of information. And during that time of...
Not even just a lack, really a withholding of information from
that's much better
the
said.
Lower class of people.
And even just simple things like the Bible, there was, churches or cathedrals or not mosques, cathedrals where the Bibles were chained to the pulpit. People were not taught to read. People were not given information.
And that's where all that weird stuff was happening, like they was leeching people and stuff.
Yeah, because, information was withheld. And then I feel like there came a time when they realized they could no longer do that, right? The world could no longer...
People weren't going to stand for that anymore.
Right, people started protesting. And I feel like the system that we talked about in about chapter 1, the system that's universal and trying to oppress everyone, realize that we can't withhold information from the people anymore. But there's another trick that we can do. What if we flood the people with so much information that they can no longer find the truth, right? So in chapter 2, Brother Hargrave gives 3 steps. He says the warfare, has primarily taken place in 3 ways to keep back the truth and deceive the people. Number 1, withholding by release. Number 2, conspiracy theory propagation. And then number 3, silencing the prophetic voice. So if we talk about number 1, withholding by release, they blocked people from finding the truth, finding out the truth about oppression, about the system, about slavery, about racism, about whatever, by making so much information available that there was no way to sort through it all and find out, okay, this is good, this is bad, this is good. And people don't have that capacity necessarily within themselves to find, the truth everywhere.
Right. I feel like we deal with that a lot specifically right now because, I mean, we all have our smartphones. We all have whatever access
Siri,
to the internet, right?
Google.
And, yeah, Safari, all those other things. And there's just so much information available. And to find out what's miseducation and what's not, we honestly really do need education about our education because who's writing the narrative, who's telling the story. The victors always tell the story, right? And on top of the victors, the system generally writes the story outside from a prophetic narrative. If it's not coming from a prophetic narrative or interpreted through a prophetic narrative, then you're probably getting misinformation and that is hard to sort through.
And if we go back, if we talk about, when we talk about slavery and we read about slavery, we try to understand slavery, there's most likely no way that we can actually know what happened because like you said, the victors wrote the story. They're going to provide us the information that they want to where, you can't exactly find.
And there are some accounts where you can find slave narratives, and I would love to take some time to read through some of those, but those are few and far between, and guess what? To find it is going to be...
And it's definitely
much harder than just finding other stuff.
Right. And it's definitely not what we were reading in school.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So if we go back to the list of 3, the second one he mentioned was, I don't remember exactly how he said it, but he just talked about conspiracy theories. He's
propagating.
Conspiracy theory propagation. So if the system starts conspiracy theories, which the immediate thing that you think of when you hear conspiracy theory is like, oh, something a little out there, right? Like, oh,
like
that's
somebody
potentially...
thinks aliens are coming from Mars and, just really out there. And just honestly, like, people that are conspiracy theorists are honestly most of the times really out there.
I mean, I'm sure they don't think so, but...
Right. But like some of it's true and some of it's not. So.
Well, see, that's what I'm saying. If they start some really out there conspiracy theories that get people thinking, oh, conspiracy theories, those are so weird, then the truth of what's actually happened can slide out, can be made available, but people just lump it in with all the other. There's no way that's true. Oh, those silly conspiracy theories, and everything just gets mixed up. And then last of all, like you mentioned, you need someone. You were saying, I forget exactly how you said it. I thought it was good though. But we need that prophetic voice to be able to help us to understand this is true, this is not true. And if the prophetic voice is silenced, if prophecy and the prophets are not allowed to speak and help us understand history through that prophetic lens, then we'll just be confused. We'll be like, this happened. No, this happened. They were oppressed. No, they were oppressed. And the oppressive comparisons begin to happen that we talked about in chapter 1. And there's just mass confusion.
Absolutely. And then you get things twisted up. Like, for example, we've talked about Christianity before. There's just a completely twisted up narrative put on it. And if we could listen to the fathers of our community who tried to set that narrative straight for us, we would be in a lot better situation. There's often people that say Christianity was put on Black people to keep them docile and weak, and it was they got this picture in their mind of slave masters holding a Bible over slaves and whipping them. But then if you listen to people like Frederick Douglass, he says
Frederick Douglass gives such clarity because there were people that were abusing Christianity that were using Christianity to abuse slaves.
And he acknowledges that, right? He doesn't deny
He doesn't deny that, but he's able to reach in and say, this, not this, which is what you need the prophetic narrative for.
And in his direct words, he says, I love the pure, peaceable, impartial Christianity of Christ. I therefore hate the corrupt, slave-holding, woman-whipping, cradle-plundering, partial, and hypocritical Christianity of this land. I can see no reason but the most deceitful one for calling the religion of this land Christianity. I look upon it as the climax of all misnomers, the boldest of all frauds, and the grossest of all libels.
That's really good.
So he was really setting the narrative straight there.
He was. And if that's the, and if that's the lens from which you understand Christianity, you can understand, okay, that right there, even though they called it Christianity, that had nothing to do with Christianity. That was anti-Christian, right? And
right. And there has to be space made for a voice like that in order to set things straight.
Yeah. Anyway, back to the withholding of information that we were talking about. I think about Dr. King, and Peyton mentioned this in the last video about chapter 1, where Dr. King talks about toward the end of his life, like Dr. King made his famous "I have a dream" speech, right? And people try to use that to justify, colorblindness, and that Dr. King was
don't even get me started.
Yeah, do not get Peyton started. For sure, do not get Peyton started. And his dream, but then toward the end of his life, but this is not something, everybody has heard about Dr. King's "I Have a Dream" speech. You learn about it in school. There's every little children's book and illustrated book and this and that, and you can just
everywhere.
You can hear the speech and you can memorize the speech and but nobody's talking about, somehow the system has managed to withhold the information that Dr. King said at the end of his life that his dream had turned into a nightmare. Nobody's talking about that. There's people that remember, obviously, but in general, that's not the mainstream thought that's being put out there, that Dr. King was saying toward the end of his life, wait, hold up. He told
Harry Belafonte.
He told Harry Belafonte at one time, he felt like he had integrated into a burning house. At the end of his life, Dr. King had the vision that, wait, I'm trying to heal, like we talked about in chapter 1, I'm trying to heal a system that cannot be healed. It cannot be fixed. If we integrate into a burning house, then what good is integration even doing us?
Right, for sure.
But does the world know about us that? Did they tell us that in our history books?
Propagated to us.
That's not the story that's told.
Right. People just stop right there and they don't. And it's purposeful, right? It's purposeful so that we do not ever point our fingers back at the system. And none of this is to say in any way that we're not grateful that we can eat wherever we want to, mostly.
Of course. There have been good changes.
Right, there have been good changes. We're so grateful.
The civil rights made a difference.
Right, it did. And it's not to disrespect our fathers and mothers who fought through that, the praying mothers who were the prayer warriors of that movement, who were able to hold up a nation with their prayers. We are not to discredit that at all.
Right.
There have been good changes made, and there have been good people throughout all
times. At a tremendous sacrifice. We also have to acknowledge that.
At a tremendous sacrifice.
Time in prison and the beatings.
They gave their blood, right, for things like that. But it's also not to say that this system has intrinsically changed. I think so many people get stuck on the topical things. They're like, no, but what though? You're making light. No, it's not to make light. It's just to say, this system has never cared about us.
Right. It's never cared about anybody.
It figured out, we can't be lynching people anymore. They're going to get us for that. So guess what? Here's what we'll do.
We'll fund
do
the March on D.C.
Right. And we'll start a war on drugs, and it'll look good, and it will be this. But guess what? The same thing will continue happening. We've got the same thing. People want to complain about affirmative action. Right, they want to say, now only the black people can get the jobs, right? And you can look at the statistics. That's not necessarily true, but in the end, it causes the same thing because it points the hatred back towards the people of color. Like, oh, now you're taking our jobs. So now the anger's not at the system anymore. Now it's still
it turns straight back around.
Right, it turns straight back around to the same place, and that's just how the system works, and it has not changed from the inside out.
And that's why we are so desperate from a recovery from our miseducation, because most of what we've been taught, most of us have been taught all our lives was skewed somehow. Either there was too much information for us to sort through, or there was conspiracy theories that we were missing, or if nothing else, that prophetic voice was at some point silenced to where we just had to be in confusion, trying to sort through the good and the bad for ourselves and not really understanding how to do that. And so if there's anything that we get out of this chapter, it's just that we have to correct that. That has to be corrected. We can't make there be less information. That wouldn't be a good thing. And the conspiracy theories are going to be there. But if we can have a prophet that can, through the prophetic lens, explain this and help, then we can come to resolution. we can understand how the system works, and we can understand how to fight it.
Absolutely.
Well, that's it for chapter 2. We're excited to get into it more. We love the book Hustling Backwards and all things it's teaching us. We're happy to be learning from it.
Please
so thankful
comment
for Stefan.
if you watched chapter 1 and the introduction. Please comment. Also comment if you read it. Just comment.
Peyton just loves the comments. Peyton loves interacting
I'm
with
a
comments.
comment addict.
I need to get better at it. Well, y'all know what time it is.
Peace, love, and hair grease.